Happy Thanksgiving, people who are...
November 26th, the day before Thanksgiving 2025. We made it. This is what, episode 6 now? Episode 7? I have lost count. Yeah, I know. Special. Everyone was like freaked out when they saw me wearing this at the office today, but it's
Oh my God.
happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
A turkey.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And actually, on that note, I'm going to share something
God.
that our team made. So this is very Paramark branded. I apologize in advance. But, okay, read this. This is hilarious.
Oh my gosh. I thought
who gets the credit for Thanksgiving
Grandma
dinner?
gets 0% because she's
Last
already dead.
attribution, the person who shouts, dinner's ready, get 100% of the credit. I know. This is corny,
Hey,
but
so
also like,
a lot of people
funny.
still
So
have
if you
grandmas.
like dad
Sorry.
jokes,
We
you should
don't have
watch the
grandmas
YouTube
anymore in our
version of this
family.
podcast. It's pretty funny.
Exactly. No attribution.
Oh no, you went there.
I love that. No, I love the turkey explanation of attribution. That's great.
Same here, unfortunately. So, but happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Yes, happy Thanksgiving. And I will stop sharing this and shilling Paramark. I apologize. Okay. All right. Well, first item of today's podcast, Black Friday is here. And one of the big announcements that happened last week is ChatGPT now has a shopping research function. Have you seen this? Did you play around with it at all? I tried to get it. Yes. Tell me about it. So my story was so I'm an Atlas browser user. So I just went into Atlas. I know, I'm like, it's funny. Everyone at work makes fun of me, but I went into the browser. I just started like putting in a query to research some new shoes that I want to buy, and it just wouldn't trigger the shopping research. And I then realized I went in a whole rabbit hole because I'm on a business plan. I think it doesn't work on business plans. It only works on like the individual pro plans.
Totally.
So then I went into my individual pro account on my mobile, and then it worked perfectly. Well, I mean, perfect it worked. But it left a lot to be desired. It did not feel any better than the Google Shopping feed, frankly. So it just felt like the same thing, and I didn't get much value out of it. It was like the same thing that I would do if I were to go into Google search and type, best shoes or whatever. So I don't know, a little bit underwhelming.
What's funny is like the experience that I've had that's been very successful is when I'm actually looking for a specific item, but I don't know what it's called. This happened to me literally this week where we bought Alpha closets like 7 years ago or whatever. And my wife, Leila, and I are going through the 7-year itch of our home, and we're like redesigning things and moving stuff around. And so I needed a couple of pieces for Alpha. And like, I went to the Alpha site and I typed in shelf, and it's so unhelpful. But then I took a photo of the image and said, hey, I'm looking for like 3 of these in this color from around 2019. Perfect, like literally perfect. It pulled up the exact request, came to the link, offered to buy. So I think when there's high specificity with a vision, really, really great. When I'm like trying to find inspiration and shop for friends and family, I feel like it has kind of missed the mark. And to your point, it feels no different than Google Shop. And yeah, I mean, I feel like my biggest struggle is that I often don't know what to buy. So I actually want the inspiration, not like, there's the execution and the inspiration. The execution is good right now. The inspiration is not good.
Oh, totally. And the experience was kind of weird because it showed me a bunch of shoes. Okay. So it like had a carousel of shoes, and I had to go into every shoe and then say if I'm interested or not interested for it to learn to give me more shoes. And I was like, wait, I'm doing all the work for you? Then what the heck was the point? And then where I have to show a thumbs up or a thumbs down, it only shows me one image. It's not like I can 3D view the shoe or like look at all the different things. I don't see reviews. It was pretty disjointed. So I think they've rushed it for Black Friday season, but like it wasn't their best foot forward in my opinion.
I'm waiting for Shopify to roll something because
well, I mean, they partnered with Shopify. No, Austin, like ChatGPT has the full feed from Shopify. I think this is all powered by Shopify. So they've been talking for months. So? Oh, yeah. It was publicly announced.
I thought that was still coming. That was my point. As in, like, it's like, look, if this V1 doesn't have the Shopify feed, it's gonna be garbage.
I think this is
So
literally the Shopify feed, but
I guess
they
it's
just
just
rush it. Yeah.
maybe it's just REST engineering. Yeah, because I mean the dream is like, I'm shopping for all this Instagram bullshit that I don't need, and you learn my preferences by showing me the ads on Instagram or whatever, and then you know what I'm buying, and then that feeds back into OpenAI, and then you can just serve me all the things that I want.
Yeah, I know. Like, honestly, dude, like Instagram has gotten so good. So I was in market for some new shirts. So I'm gonna go on
Mm,
a shirt rant. I used to love a certain brand. I'm not gonna name the brand. And then the quality went down, so I stopped buying from that brand. And I was in market. I was finally, after a decade, open for shopping for new brands. And
mhm.
however Instagram figured out, maybe like the first time you do a search and they have a Facebook pixel, and then it just started showing me all types of shirt brands. And for the last 3 months, I have been hooked on exploring shirt brands on Instagram. Like every other post is shirts. It's
I
hilarious.
know. I'm
Um,
also I'm convinced that there is some either secret or well-known SDK that is listening to my conversations because
no, that's been
it's
debunked.
it's
That's been
I
debunked.
know they say it's been debunked, but there's just too many times when I'm on a dog walk talking with an item with Layla, and then literally like an hour later I get an ad for it. I'm just like, I don't believe it. I know this is one of those conspiracy theories that like I believe in.
All right,
It's
you're
it's
allowed to believe in it. You're allowed to believe in it. But so I'm going to finish my thought. So then I was listening to another media buyer who said something really interesting.
sure.
Is one of the smartest people that I know. They run a $500 million sort of consumer brand. And what he said was the moment you as a brand, so if I'm running a shirt brand, the moment you figured out that, hey, Austin is really interested in this shirt brand, what you have done is told Meta, go get all the other shirt brands to also advertise to Austin. If you
Mhm.
think about the implication of this is massive. You, with your successful advertising, have now opened the door for all of your competitors to bid on prospective clients. Isn't that freaking wild when you think about it that way? Because you have no control over that algo. And Meta is like, oh, Austin likes Pranav's shirts. He probably likes Pete's shirts. And he probably likes Bonobos. And he probably likes X and Y and Z. And so this is the value of death in advertising, where even when you are successful, you're not really that successful when it comes to online advertising. You're just paving the way for your competitors to steal all your customers. It's wild. It's wild.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I
yeah.
mean, crazy story. It's a two-sided coin though, right? On one hand, Meta is the hand that giveth, and it's also the hand
Yes.
that taketh away, right? Like if you're a
Yes.
tiny brand who's trying to sell your first 50,000 shirts, it's amazing.
Yeah,
If you're
exactly.
Bonobos, I would argue though, it basically is it's anchored against the size of the company and the resources of the company. The bigger the company is, the more resources they have, the more they can bid. So in a way, Meta is leveling the playing field between the marketplace, which, you know, sucks if you're big and works really well if you're small.
Very well said. And I don't mean this as a negative for Meta, right? This is a real issue for advertisers to be aware of that, hey, when you are successful, you can't rest on your laurels. You kind of have to keep reinventing the game and figure out how do
Mhm.
you get more and better and, build that brand loyalty that even if your competitors are getting that advantage from Meta, that somehow they still think of you as the number one brand. And I will tell you, out of that the shirt shopping, 3 month addiction that I've been on, none of the
Yep.
brands have really crossed through as like the top one in my head. They're all like living there simultaneously, and the quality will tell me right at the end of the next like maybe 3 or 4 months of which one reaches like, okay, that's my brand. That's what I'm going to buy for the next like 5 years, right? So
Yeah.
it's just interesting kind of going through that dynamic right now when I'm in the middle of making a decision about a brand that I'm hopefully going to stick to because I hate shopping.
I know. I know. Well, and this was the whole point of what uh, ChatGPT was supposed to help with shopping was to alleviate the burden of having to think about it. And it seems like we're still shopping for ourselves.
We still
Yeah, I mean,
are.
it's interesting. It's interesting too that like you've seen many brands and you're still looking. I actually feel like sometimes the more I see an ad, less likely I am to buy unless I already had a predisposition to buy. For example, I'll call it this one brand because it's fine. I don't think anybody on this show is buying it, but maybe they are. It's called Woloco, and they sell like running tights. And say what you want about the brand or whatever. Like, I'm not gonna wear them. Like, they're just way too tight. Like, I I can't be an
Mm,
urban dad like that. It's just not my style. But I continue to get an unlimited volume of ads from a logo. Like they are paying money, but it's because like I'm into running stuff and like my
right.
interest in the algorithm that I'm being served is focused on running and like they're just targeting me again and again and again, even though I have no interest in buying. But to the point, if you're in the market for something much cheaper, like a shirt, where you are probably going to try 5 or 6 to find the right one, then the mass frequency campaign actually does work because eventually you'll probably give it and be like, well, might as well try it. It's actually what happened
Exactly.
when I got a Buck Mason shirt. It was like I got a million Buck Mason shirt ads, and then
Buck
I got,
Mason is a big
th-
meta advertiser. Yeah.
yeah, 3 catalogs. And I'm like, okay, at this point, like, this is not going to stop until I just buy something, I guess.
Okay, so on that note, I saw this on my feed that ChatGPT ads are coming. Like it's no news,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh,
Everyone
yeah.
knows that ads are coming. And
Of
this one
course.
person like really like made it seem like there was definitive news, and I've been trying to research this online. I don't think there's anything definitive about it, but here's what that person wrote on my LinkedIn feed. It's already in closed beta. I have no confirmation of this, so it seems speculative, and it is going to launch to free users in 2026. It's not going to be based on the pricing is not going to be based on clicks, but instead on sorry, it will be based on clicks and actions, not based on impressions, which makes sense for me,
Mhm, mhm.
given their business model. You will see ads show up inside the chat mixed naturally into replies, not in pop ups or sidebars. That also kind of makes sense. So instead of letting the ad influence the answer, you're saying, I came up with the answer and I'm inserting an ad based on the context of the answer. So it's almost like at the final mile of delivery rather than overpowering the result itself. So it's gonna feel like branded search ads almost, right? You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's gonna be an interesting one. Obviously hyper personalized because of the chat context, the session data, the memory. Users will be able to disable memory or block ad based personalization. By the way, all of these are speculations. I have no clue if any of this is real. Um, not based on keyword targeting, all based on semantic intent. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, it keeps going. Thoughts, reactions. How much of this do you believe? How much do you think this is just all speculation?
Oh, I mean, ads for sure are gonna come. Uh,
Yep.
I mean, it's gonna happen. I lament that it's happening, but if you read Brian Balfour's piece, this is like a well-known part of moat building. They're building up the adoption base, and at some point, they'll then start to monetize. So even though they're monetizing right now, if you think about it, they're not really monetizing. They're pseudo monetizing. They're charging for services to show they can make money and probably fund their infrastructure spending, but advertising revenue would just totally blow these $200 seats out of the water.
100%.
So I think like they will advertise. The travesty is that I think it depends what the format looks like, but there's a real potential to provide what I think is a huge conflict of interest, where as you ask questions to this trusted advisor and source of information, who's supposed to be a superhuman and is supposed to have your best interest in mind, that the answers they might provide you are actually filled with ad trash that and like maybe there'll be some ethical standards that have to delineate what is an ad versus what is real advice. But you can imagine if I'm like, hey, tell me like the best pizza stone that exists. Today, it's going to do research on the internet. And yes, some of those things may be referrals and other kind of biased sources of information. But on the whole, I think the intention when I'm talking to GPT is to provide an unbiased opinion of what the best product is. Now, what you're saying is like, okay, actually they'll have the unbiased view, but they might have an ad view in there too, where it says, we looked at all these and actually the best one is this one from, like Cruzier or whatever it is.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they can make it transparent or they can't. I'm I'll be
But
interested in seeing what they do,
but
you
but,
know?
but what if the ad placement happened after the research and inference has already happened? So they follow the whole playbook just as you described, and then in the last mile when they present the result, they say, "Oh, hey, here's a very simple buy now link." And so what the purpose of that is to reduce the friction. So you press the button, your credit card is on file, it's already delivered 2 days to you,
Sure,
right?
sure, sure.
So but then the
Is
problem is the moment you do that, now you're on the train, and that
Yeah.
now all the incentives are aligned to mess with that, which is how do we influence those results?
Yeah, and I'm also like, okay, it's one thing to grease the wheels on buying, right? Hey,
No.
GPT was going to give you 7 items anyways, so we're just now going to slip in an eighth item and we'll have a link to it. It's a different story to recharacterize the answer based on who's paying the most. Right. I
Yeah.
mean, this is no different than the ethics standards that you have in influencers and content marketing, where, if you're showing something on Instagram, you have to have a big banner at the top that says like, this is a paid promotion because I'm getting paid to say this. And I'm still gonna listen to you if I want because you're a good presenter, but like I know that you're getting paid to do it. And
Yeah.
so to me, that is like the big question mark. Are they gonna move? Is the advertising gonna be obvious that it's an ad or not? And that to me represents a very dangerous situation where if like you could have recommendations that are ads or you could be monetizing the answers that GPT provides. Because right now, I think ChatGPT, Claude, these are realistically thought of as truth-seeking machines, where truth is effectively the research that they do. And so you can validate the sources. If they're all of a sudden not telling you the source and it's an ad, to me that represents like a potential problem.
Totally.
Um,
Absolutely.
and yeah, and also it's like, okay, what if I'm doing like a project that has nothing to do with finance? I'm getting like Schwab ads. Like, this morning I was looking up stock tickers for ETFs. Like, I don't want a fucking ad in there for,
Yeah.
Schwab or something. So then the question is again, an ad-free version. And I'm like, aren't we already paying for an ad-free version? I'm paying $200 a month. Do I have to pay more to not see ads? Crazy.
Well said. Well said. Well, last week another big thing that happened, which I think puts all of this in really interesting sort of perspective, is the Gemini 3 launch.
Oh my God. Huge.
I didn't pay attention to it till like Saturday or Sunday, and then I sat down on Saturday morning, and so I've been doing a lot of sales, obviously, for the last 3 years with the startup, and our salesperson and myself, we're only two people, have some ideas about what we want to do with sales engineering and like delivering value in the sales process. And I kid you not, in like an hour, I created an app in Gemini with a fully functioning front end React, UI that had 5 steps, interactive buttons. I can paste in, CSVs. I can manipulate the data, and I get these amazing outputs. Now, don't tell my co-founder this because he's gonna like, what the heck are you doing, Pranav? From a data science perspective. But it made the whole thing so much easier and better than what we would do in the past, which is bring in an actual data scientist or bring in one of our, solutions
Mhm.
engineers. And now we can do all of that in just a web browser. And I went and verified all the data and, did my own sort of due diligence to make sure like it's not hallucinating and what have you. But man, that stuff was amazing. And I don't think ChatGPT can do this. I don't think Claude can do this. Maybe Claude Code and Cursor can do it, but not the way that I interacted with Gemini and just coded it up. It was amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I think Gemini itself as a model is really interesting. I think it's pretty powerful. I think that you can build apps now with Replit and Lovable and Cursor. They all let you pick the model too, so you can pick the underlying base model. And I've been building simple web and backend apps with Cursor for the last 2 months, and very similar experience. You can build something functional in 10 minutes. And I mean, with something like Supabase, or Firebase, you can just literally publish it to the internet. Like
Yep.
you can go from idea to fully production app, making money with Stripe in very, very, very little time. What's interesting with Gemini, though, is that I think there's two other things that I read that are exciting. One is the fact that they have Gemini, but they've also been investing in their own infrastructure for the last like 10 years. So I don't
Yes.
know if you knew this,
TPUs.
but they
Hmm.
have their own infrastructure core that's competitive with NVIDIA. And now they're running both the model and the hardware at the same time. And when I heard that news, like I've been following it loosely, but not very deeply. So I've started focusing in more on the fact that they've been doing this hardware production. And I think there's a real case here to be said that Google, continues to just crush it. They're a little bit of like the sleeper right now. Um, and then the second thing that happened that is not necessarily related so much to Gemini 3, but just the implementation of Gemini across Google is that I'm finding increasingly the ways that it's helping me in my Google Workspace instance, and it's making me want to use Drive more.
Interesting.
Obviously Google Sheets is a great tool. I love Excel, but most of the time when I reach for a spreadsheet, it's Google Sheets because it's online, it's shared, it's faster, it's easier. And their little formula called equals AI parentheses
Mm.
is literally God mode on Excel because you can give it any prompt and it will try to actually create the formula for you. And if it can't, it just runs it through Gemini. Like it runs any transaction you want through Gemini. So you can do really complicated stuff that would be very challenging to solve in an Excel formula, and it can just run on any cell with a range now. I went through and cleaned up names that had different characters. I separated data.
Oh,
I asked it
nice.
to do research, cataloged all inside of a Google Sheet. So I'm starting to see it actually probably outperforming Clay in the sense that, once they allow Gemini to go and do research inside of a Google Sheet and return the data,
Oh, very interesting.
then like why buy Clay when you can just do it from a Google Sheet? And then you have a mail merge from Google Sheets too. So, and then I've also found that it's getting better at drafting emails. Like you'll start to see the email drafts below your main emails, and they're just like way more accurate now than they ever have been before. So continue to think that Google is the best position because they already have this mass market of people using Google Business. And so if they can just plug in the right tools to add value, then it does raise the question of whether you'll need to go to other places to use AI.
Okay, I have a really fun story about this. So
Yeah.
we're a team of 25 people, and my co-founder and I were chatting about, hey, we should do a session about like giving and receiving feedback now that we're, a bigger team. And
Hmm.
so how are we going to do this? Like, what is the training, whatever, whatever. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to prompt, Gemini to come up with like a format, and like maybe it'll go look at, all the different ways of giving feedback and create a presentation, and I can deliver that presentation. I go and do that. It creates a PPTX. Gemini creates a PPTX instead of a Google slide, and the formatting is like all weird and whatever. I'm like, this is a bummer. This is after me having a great experience with Gemini over the weekend, right? Then I went into
Hmm.
Gamma, like shout out to Gamma,
Oh my
and I
gosh,
gave it
so
the
good.
same prompt, and it was beautiful. It was amazing. And so I'm like, there's still, there's still money to be made, but it's all about like short-term arbitrage. I feel like Google will get there, but in the
Totally.
short term, companies like Gamma are doing amazing. Like they've gone from like what 0 to 100 million in the next like last couple of years, something like bonkers like that.
My, Gamma is incredible. Like there's really no excuse anymore for not being able to create high quality slideware. Like there's no
I'm actually
reason.
tempted to buy Gamma for all of our customer facing teams and just be like, here's the brand standard, here's everything plugged in, and you can just go to town. And like, why not? Why wouldn't you do that? And I was like, oh, I have the slide template. Everybody use a template. Bullshit. Just use Gamma. All right, this was not
Also,
supposed to be an
can I
ad for
just
Gamma, but yes.
can I call out though for all the people who think the Heidi How is dead? Gamma has an amazing Heidi How with tiles that you pick because their whole onboarding flow, they make you click buttons to pick like what you're interested in. Like, is it for work or personal use? I'm
Right.
using it to generate image, social media, and then at the end they show all the tiles for how you could find out about them. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because we talked about this a couple weeks ago. there is literally no reason why a business right now, no matter what your size is, whether you're a one
Yeah.
person startup or a 100-person startup, there is no reason why you should not be collecting how did you hear about us
Completely
information.
agree. Completely
It's like
agree.
the most important directional piece of feedback you can get on marketing. And it's funny because I have had this fight with so many product people and even marketers who think like, oh, it's not accurate and it's like it's gonna erode the customer experience. I'm like, it's
Oh
one
my
button
god.
click.
Yeah.
You're following the law of last click way too strictly. So,
I think
anyways,
I,
if
I think
Gamma does it, you should
people
too.
100%. And I think people think that any amount of friction in your buying process or your sign up flow is bad. And it's like, hey, if they can't take 3 seconds out of their lives to tell you how they heard about you, you probably don't have a good business anyway.
Yeah, and they're not the right person. I think it was Elena wrote a piece about this, and also Claire Vo and one other person. I've now seen this from 3 different amazing women marketers who all say, look, the fear of them dropping out of the funnel from a single button click is just like overreactive drama. So,
100%.
anyways, I just I continue to see great companies doing it, and I'm just amazed people don't.
All right. I'm going to put up a different image in front of you. Switching gears, we're going to talk about Black Friday. You're probably listening to this on a Black Friday or maybe between Black Friday and Cyber Monday, BFCM. And I just thought this was such a hilariously accurate representation of what happens every Black Friday. Have you seen this? Did this hit your feed at all?
No, it didn't.
Okay, so what's happening here? It's basically just showing sales over time if you're listening on audio. And it shows that, hey, whenever you do a Black Friday sale, you're essentially depressing that sales volume before Black Friday because now you've primed everybody to buy on Black Friday. And so your sales go down for a few days or weeks or months. And then you see a big spike on Black Friday. And then again, you see a dip after that because, hey, people have already bought everything. And so you've got this, curve or the area under the graph, which is all your Black Friday sales. And then there's all the potential sales that you would have had if you did not do a sale. And you're trying to basically say, are your Black Friday sales net incremental or not? Right. And
Mhm.
I don't think that anybody in, marketing is looking at their sales numbers in this way to really understand whether it was worth it or not. And this like
Totally.
simple visualization, like every media buyer, every marketer, every CEO, every CFO should have this pinned whenever you talk about Black Friday.
I'm trying to, I gotta move my face in, Riverside so I can see the right part of this diagram. There we go. What's reported? Yeah, exactly. Fascinating. Where did you come up with this, or where did you find this,
I did
Pranav?
not come up with this. I can't even remember who it must be on my LinkedIn save. So I'll put a link to the wonderful person who created this. But just it was on my LinkedIn feed, and I was like, we got to talk about this because I can guarantee that most people who do Black Friday sales are net negative, actually,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
yeah,
I
and
mean,
we still do it, and we still do it.
I I know. Well, I think what makes B1 and B2 hard is that it's hard to know when people start holding out for Black Friday,
Yep.
right? Is it October 31st? Is it November 1? Like, what is the time frame? And that's really dependent on the buyer, right? Some buyers are very willing to hold out for a pretty long time because the difference of 10 or 30% savings is really real. Um, for other people, that savings versus the time frame of 2 weeks isn't worth it. They're like, well, I'll just buy it. I don't want to forget. But this literally reminds me of 2 things too, which in addition to the B1 that happens because of the buildup, there's also just like random cannibalization for like I don't know what reason. Container Store is giving 30% off right now. It's not even Black Friday. It's just
I
like a
know.
store thing.
Yep.
I'm like,
Yep.
okay, so you're giving 30% off. I have a 20% discount because I'm a member, and it's Black Friday tomorrow. So like I was gonna buy all those things anyways, but
Yep.
you've just given away 50% of the value for I don't know what reason.
So I think it's all game theory, right? It's basically
For
if
sure.
all of Container Store's competitors are doing it, then, and they're the only ones who are not doing it, then you either have to have really strong conviction that people buy from Container Store not just because of price, but because of that overall sort of brand sentiment and loyalty, or you give in to that game theory and you're like, shit, everyone's doing it, so I got to do it too to compete, right? Otherwise, I'm going to lose share to those competitors. So it's a hard situation. I don't want to make light of the situation that anybody who is in a consumer environment or selling to consumers, it's a hard game, but tread lightly because of this chart.
Totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then there are some people though where if you follow the apex of Black Friday and then just extend that outward and upward, that's some retail businesses, which is to say they don't make any of their money, or the vast majority of their revenue doesn't occur until Black Friday, and then they make 45% of their revenue from Black Friday through the end of the year.
Totally. Yeah. You got to know your business to be able to make that decision. You're 100% right. On that note, really interesting data about consumer sentiment going into this holiday season. So apparently, consumer sentiment is very, very weak. 47% of Americans say they're worried they won't be able to afford gifts this year. 2 in 3 plan to cut back. But at the same time, retail sales are forecast to grow 3 to 4% in US retail sales, and e-commerce expected to hit a record $253 billion. And so what's happening here is, now when you look under the hood, much of that growth is actually coming from price inflation, not from volume. So yes, it's going to be hitting some record numbers, but all of it is inflation and price increase, and actually the volume is going to be lower. So very tough environment for everybody. And obviously these are just forecasts, so you don't take them at face value. The reality might be different. But I don't know, man, if you're a consumer advertiser right now, not a good place to be. Like, if you're selling widgets and goods, it sounds really, really hard.
Oh yeah, I mean, people are price sensitive. Prices are actually up. Things cost more. And that's just the way it is because of the political landscape, Tariffs and inflation suck.
Not according to some people, but we will leave it there. Okay. So there was another survey or market research study from this company called Invoca, and this was interesting to me. So they ran this study and they basically asked a bunch of marketers and then they asked a bunch of consumers. And the question that they asked is like, hey, is AI improving your ability to sell or your ability to buy or enhancing the customer journey? 86% of marketers say AI is enhancing the customer journey. Guess how many consumers agree with that? Where would you place the number?
Gosh, there's like my best estimate and then the way that I feel.
How do you feel? Let's talk about how you feel.
Man, the way that I feel is that I don't really think AI enhances the journey that much. But
So
I bet the perception is maybe higher.
It's higher, but like the gap is pretty wide. Right? So 35% of consumers agree that AI is enhancing customer journeys, but 86% of marketers believe that AI is enhancing the customer journey. So the gap there is pretty massive. And right, it's like, every marketer thinks that AI is making things better, and like the majority of consumers are like, nope, it's not making things better. So
yeah, well, because it's so easy to detect AI garbage.
Yep. So a very interesting time where you have all this investment into, let's put more AI into sales and marketing and what have you. And on the other side, consumers and businesses are like, nah, slow down. I was talking to this company earlier today, public company, productivity, I won't name them. And they're like, oh yeah, we just brought in an agency of record that's going to own our hundreds of millions of dollars of, advertising because we just don't have the skill set to do it. And I was like, okay, we're still having that conversation. We're not like, and this is a very tech forward brand. This is not a legacy brand. It's an amazingly AI forward tech leading brand. So
crazy.
Yeah, it's wild times that we live in, man.
I mean, So I feel like the dream, at least today, and this may change as people's perception of AI changes, but I think the dream for B2B and B2C brands is such that you can use AI, reduce your costs, and the consumer doesn't actually know that they're interacting with AI.
Yes.
That to me feels like the target. I mean, I talked to a lot of companies who are like, I want to be able to use AI solutions to handle customer support requests, to be able to
Yep.
handle feedback, to help with the buying experience, to answer questions. But we know that people kind of get pissed off if they think they're talking to a robot. So how do we solve that? Well, the idea is to have it be so good that it tricks people into believing it's human. And we're not there yet. So instead, people just see the machine failing and they get frustrated.
Yep.
And yeah, I also just don't think it's good enough yet to adapt to the number of parameters that are needed for really high personalization. So, it's kind of like if you're for simple tasks that involve a single prompt with limited context, I think AI performs pretty well. For complicated tasks with a long running context window and a lot of input, it starts to break down. And, that's a lot of the buying journeys. They're complex. They're not easy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's this dichotomy that we live in, right, Austin? Like, I'm both an optimist and a pessimist at the same time when I look at AI.
Oh yeah,
I'm like,
definitely.
you can't not be an optimist if you're a builder, if you're an entrepreneur in this environment, because hey, this is like amazing piece of technology. At the same time, I'm a pessimist because like simple things like we talked about the shopping research in ChatGPT were pretty underwhelming. And so, it is going to get better. I'm a big believer that it is going to get better, and anybody who's building or selling should lean in and do a lot with AI. Just don't expect great results. That's the unfortunate reality. Um, okay, couple of launches that happened, also AI focused. So one was this company called Smartly.io. Have you heard of Smartly before? Has that name come up ever?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
So they launched a new creative intelligence capability. So what they're doing is creative predictive potential. So pre-flight, you use computer vision and eye tracking models to forecast in advance which creative assets will capture attention, sentiment, and engagement before you launch the campaign. So like this is actually a
Okay.
pretty standard methodology in CPG. So you would
Yep.
hire these people to do pre-testing, but I think they're trying to do this like online and through Smartly's product for SMBs, which is kind of interesting.
Mhm.
And then the second is post-flight. So you built it, you launched it, and then you're analyzing creative performance after the fact, digging into visual themes, tones, which elements worked, which did not work. So creative analytics, creative intelligence. Um, cool launch. I don't know if the efficacy of these things, but I thought it was an interesting launch. And then another one, GoDaddy apparently launched a new brand called Airo.ai,
Mm.
AIRO.ai, and it is a whole bunch of agents. There's a orchestrator agent, there is a app builder agent, there's a compliance agent, there's a domain search and registration agent, there's a website builder agent, there's a logo agent. Whew, lots of agents doing
Wow.
everything from like registering a domain to getting a site live. So lots of good stuff for SMBs, I have to say, right? This stuff, like, you're not gonna go hire a team of people to do this, and GoDaddy and Smartly both making, some of this stuff easier for smaller businesses. I like it.
Yeah, it's so two things to unpack. First, on Smartly, I feel like the thing that's interesting or strikes me is that, we're taking capabilities and things that usually large businesses cared about, and we're bringing them to small businesses. Because if you ask any 10, 20 million revenue generating business, hey, are you optimizing the individual words that you use in the creative for one ad? You're like, no. This is the type of thing that like Walmart does because they're running thousands of ads and they have a compliance and control suite and they have thousands of marketers. So they can just throw humans at it to optimize at the micro level. And frankly, that is the type of stuff that is going to make a big difference because they're running so much volume. They actually have to care about the very tactical nature of the ad. But I would argue a lot of businesses don't. They just don't have the time, energy, and money, and so it usually falls by the wayside because it's like, if am I going to find the new channel, or am I going to optimize the existing one? And most people try to find the new one. because, refining an existing ad is just not going to squeeze enough juice out of what you're doing. So it's cool in the sense of, okay, now we have advanced capabilities for small and medium-sized businesses. The question really becomes how automated is it versus another tool that another marketer has to own? Because just like how Clay and Unify and Instantly and Lemlist are helping salespeople sell more, it also requires this new person called a GTM engineer, which is really just a fancy way of saying a RevOps person. So, like,
Yep.
more tools doesn't necessarily mean better outcomes unless you are staffed and equipped and embrace that will require a more technical person to do it. So, like, if you have a technical marketer who's a performance marketer and they were already spending time to optimize ads, this seems a great win. If they weren't doing this at all, then there is the question of how much time are they now going to be able to allocate and learn a new tool and actually use it. Um,
Totally
but
fair
still,
observation. Yeah.
yeah, super cool. And then, I like rant about this on LinkedIn quite a bit, quite a bunch. But I agents are just scripts.
Yeah.
I'm
I
looking
know.
at this Airo.ai thing, and it's like, it's just a chat prompt. And I'm just thinking to myself, how many of these outcomes are really automated versus another checklist for another thing I have to do that I could have done in ChatGPT,
Yeah. I mean, we are living in a world where every SaaS app is going to have a little chat box and is going to have some amount of automation. And one is going to be called a copilot. The other one's going to be called an agent, right? Like that's basically it. And
Yeah.
so
Like,
the it,
let's do this to Pranav. Let's test this theory together. I got
all right.
Airo open. Let's find the perfect domain right now. Okay, so I clicked find the perfect domain. Just share a few details to get started. What's the business idea? What domains do you have in mind? And what are your key topic areas? Didn't we fake a startup business last week?
Did we come up with some?
Like,
I've completely forgotten what we talked about last week.
your gym, your Pranav's gym, right?
Oh
Um,
yes. Okay, gym. Let's do a gym. So this is going to be a
okay,
gym for like 40-year-old dads.
year
You
old.
you can't come into this gym if you're less than 40 years old. And
Unless you have dogs or kids.
there we go. Boom.
Okay, we're rolling out gym for 40-year-old dads. You can't come in unless you have dogs or kids. And the domain idea would be like
I like it.
dadbodsgym.com.
I like it. That's good.
What are the key topics? Organic, brew, community. Community, that's a great word. Love that.
Community. It's
Dad
good.
bod. It autocorrected into daddy. I don't know if I'm gonna keep that one.
Oh, that's happening on
Okay.
GoDaddy. This is wild.
Yeah. Okay. Dad bod, gym, workout, hit, fitness. We can add a hybrid athlete in there.
There we go. Maybe
Cool.
there's a beer angle to it. Like like it's
I'll
also
just
a
put beer
bar.
question mark.
Yeah, exactly. Boom.
Okay, so I'm just curious what this is gonna do because again, my thesis is this is gonna come up with a stupid checklist and not be very helpful. But is this gonna actually land me in a buying screen where I can buy a domain
You
instantly? Is
you
the real
have given me
question.
an idea that we could just roast all the new SaaS AI and agent tools on this podcast. Like that could be a whole thing.
Okay, am I allowed to share my screen? Can I do
You
that?
should be. Can you see the share option at the bottom? So if you hit that
Yeah.
share option and
Okay.
let's see what
Here,
it did.
here we go. Can you see this now? Share this window. Can you?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing it.
Okay. So Dadbod's Gym. Oh, it's only $4. That's great. Emotional, memorable, popular. So I guess what's great about this is it does drop you into the buying experience. But then my question is, how is this any different than like just going to GoDaddy and looking for the domain? I mean, this is literally the domain I typed in.
It did no work for you. Like maybe it
Yeah.
came up with a couple of others. Dad Fit Pack, Dad Bodden, Dad Crew Fit.
Ready to
Uh,
build your brand? Yeah. Dad pack fit,
it's really
dad's
not
bod
being very
gym.co.
creative, right? It's being very literal. Like it just took the literal thing and
So
put it
let's
there.
let's let's try this way. We're gonna go to GoDaddy. Hold on. GoDaddy.com. And let's just type I wanna type in the domain. Like, well, dad bod gym. Let's just see what happens here.
It's probably doing the
So
same thing.
yeah, like It's really, and also it says dad bod gym is not available here,
The
but
other one had an S in it, Austin.
oh, dad bod. And see, they didn't even like.
Yep. Didn't think too hard.
No, no, exactly. Oh, and dadbodgym.ai. AI is
There we
trending.
go. There we go.
That's funny. I mean, so again,
Austin, you and I are never gonna get hired by GoDaddy now. I'm just kidding.
I
I'm just
I don't
kidding.
mean to roast them. It's just I think like a lot of these AI things are half baked. You know
That's
what
exactly right.
would have been more interesting is like you know, actually coming up with a list of like 100 different domains that I could pick from based on the thesis. Instead, it's just giving me one. It's just showing me the thing that I wanted to buy already, which I get
Yep.
it. Their job here is to create a lead gen tool that people buy. But it's like I'm not an idiot. You know, I know how to search for domains. What if this tool is actually helpful? It would help in the buying process. It would be like, here are the things that you should consider. Here are domains that maybe people already own in the past. You know, for example, one of the companies I used to work for, we had to change our domain because there was actually like a trademark on the domain. They
Yeah.
didn't own the domain anymore, but it was so close for the name that it would have just represented a legal liability if we had trying to get that trademark. So why doesn't this thing look at the words
Oh, that's a
and kind
great
of give you
point.
advice on, hey,
Yep.
you know, this is a great domain, but you might consider how it might clash with other existing businesses, and here's some domains that are related. You know,
I love that idea. Yeah, I've definitely had my share of trademark issues. We'll talk about that one on the next episode. It's a fun story.
love it.
Um, awesome. Well, Austin, I love this one. Happy Thanksgiving. Are you gonna have turkey tomorrow, or are you a different? What's your
I'm
Thanksgiving
wearing my
tradition?
turkey. You're wearing your turkey too.
I know, but are you gonna cook some? Are you gonna eat some or no?
I will probably eat some turkey. I'm famously like a very bad vegetarian.
Oh, you
Um,
are? Okay, okay. Oh, wait,
yeah,
hang on. Wait, I'm confused. You're a bad vegetarian, which means you do eat turkey. No.
exactly, exactly. I grew up not being a vegetarian, and then my wife Layla is vegetarian, so I became vegetarian for a while, and I've, you know, had a love-hate relationship with the model of being vegetarian. But usually for Thanksgiving, I relapse a little bit. But the best thing about this one is I do not have to cook at all because we're going
All
to
right.
our families and neighbors, and so I'll just be able to show up and enjoy the fruits of everybody else's labor.
Fantastic. Well, I hope you have a wonderful holiday. And
What are you doing? What are you doing with the kids?
we are actually going to Cirque du Soleil tonight. And
Whoa.
then we have Friendsgiving tomorrow. So we're going to have a bunch of friends over to, sort of eat together. That's it.
Mhm.
Haven't thought that far ahead. I probably have to clean the garage. And then famously, so now, okay, we can now say this GTMN.FM is live.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We don't have our AI tracker up though yet.
No, so you can go into gtmn.fm and you can subscribe and you will get the summary from each of the weekly episodes and you'll get the embedded link from YouTube right there if you'd like to read more than listen. And so you should go do that. Go to gtmn.fm. I'm going to repeat that again. gtmn.fm. I'm going to be one of those annoying radio announcers and subscribe. And so we're going to launch this hopefully Friday or Saturday, depending on when I get the time. That's going to be my weekend.
Love it. Well, enjoy some turkey. No turkey, or you're
Turkey.
vegetarian
I
too, I
eat
thought.
everything. I eat
Okay, I
everything.
was wrong. I
So
was wrong. I thought you were
yeah,
vegetarian
no,
too.
not at all.
En-
On the
Enjoy some
opposite end of the
turkey.
spectrum. Thank you. Thank you.
And thanks for an amazing week, Pranav, and for everybody listening. Have a good I almost said Halloween. Thanksgiving.
Happy Halloween. Because we're wearing the
This
costume.
should be
Yeah,
our
exactly.
costume. Next year we'll just be turkeys for Halloween.
Exactly. All right. On that note, we're going to wrap it up.